Hello, I am Michelle with two L's,
And I'm Natalie the Red.
and we are Force of Light Entertainment, and we're here to continue our reviews of Stranger Things Season 4. We will be covering Episode 2.
Vecna's Curse.
Yes, we're going to be discussing that today. So let's go ahead and get into that. So this episode, let's see, it starts out, we've got Mike and Murray arrive in California. So we've got
right by each other. But...
Yes. Yeah, which was kind of fun to see. Of course, Mike coming to hang out with 11 and I guess Will some. He doesn't seem that interested in hanging out with Will. Poor Will.
Poor Will.
Will can't catch a break.
He cannot.
He really can't. And that whole opening scene was kind of funny when Mike comes in the airport.
Oh yes, and he's got the flops on, and and that guy's like,
he's like, no, it's a cheap off-brand or something like that.
I'll get you some good threads out here. But I was telling Michelle, actually, something that genuinely made me laugh, just because, especially as somebody that has like a little social anxiety. They're all kind of introducing each other in the airport. There's the new guy, Argyle, kind of the stoner type, and towards the end, he just kind of says, well, this is getting kind of awkward, man.
And they're like, yeah.
Like, let's go this way, because we've all been there.
Well, even Mike, and I will say this, like Mike, I feel like in season 3 was going through kind of like his punk phase. Like when I say punk, like he was being kind of a little punk. Like I was rooting for Hopper. We'll just say that. Like I feel like he's kind of moved out of that already, which I appreciate because I don't feel like that's who Mike really is.
Mike, he's a teenager.
Mike's a tender-hearted nerd. That's who he is.
He really is.
Like that's his true person.
That's who we really know and love.
Yes, and so yeah, I feel like he's kind of back to that nerdy nice guy again.
Yeah,
like you see that with like the flowers. I realize there's too much yellow in the flowers, so I add a little bit of purple in the flowers. That whole scene, but anyway, so you've got them, you've got and then you've got Murray, and of course Murray comes. And he's trying to help Joyce. They're trying to figure out, because there's always groups that begin to align together to figure out little pieces of the puzzle. That is the formula of Stranger Things.
And I think I enjoy Murray and anybody, honestly, but I do enjoy Murray and Joyce together.
Yeah, he goes through that whole thing of what it could be, and she's like, you just made that up. It's going. But yeah, they are pretty funny together. And then you've got, in this episode, the thing that kind of stands out to the most to me, one, because it was just so 80s and even early 90s, the skating rink.
Yes.
They go to the skating rink in this episode.
Where 11 has claimed she goes and there are many parties there.
Yes. Yeah, and Will's just like,
you mean the one that mom's company had, or
Yeah, and he's just like, why are you lying? Like, stop trying to put on here. What are you doing? Why are you lying to Mike like this?
But then, like I said, from the first episode, you just feel for her, because clearly she's going through something. I mean, bless her heart.
She's been through a lot.
She's like, I just need things to be good. She's trying so hard.
She does. And they seem fine at the beginning, but then Angela
shows up to the party.
Angela shows up, and so she takes her out mid.
Angela,
she's awful. She's awful. Angela takes her out to the center of the skating rink. And I will say, when they threw the shake on her and she fell on like hard on her, on her butt, I was like, my jaw dropped, and like I feel like a course of anger, borderline rage, shot through my body.
Yeah, so horrible. I mean, they already been just like, it already would have been so traumatizing, just them circling around and then and
mocking, and then like, but it was that I was like, I literally gasped at like. And like I felt some rage. I mean, right. I'm being silly here, but like you really did. Like,
did you feel what 11 was feeling?
Well, I felt like you feel anger, because it's like this. Like, I mean, bullying's wrong.
Yeah,
and it's depicting that, and at such a horrible level. I mean, so humiliating. And I mean, again, we said this in the first. Natalie said this in the first episode when we discussed it. Millie Bobby Brown really is just an amazing little actress.
She is, because you emotionally go on that ride with her. Like,
you do.
You're just, man, like she could make me tear up. Like just her acting of like just how just hurtful that would be.
I mean, when Millie Bobby Brown as 11 cries, my heart dies a little. It breaks a little each time.
Not our little 11.
you feel protective of this character at this point, but yeah, she that whole scene of her back there, they can't find her, and she's like crying. It was just like it was heart wrenching,
Gosh.
like it really was. It was
And
heart.
they're still making fun of her out there.
Yes,
Like,
they're still, and since we'll kind of cover this character by character, I guess, kind of through the episode. All I'm gonna say is, do I condone breaking someone's nose? I don't, but
violence is never the answer.
it's never the answer. But did I feel that bad for Angela? I did not. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I mean, man, they really just like they didn't shy away from
Oh,
the
the
crying.
blood.
And just kind of realistically, like, I mean, it was brutal.
Well,
and then just kind of the aftermath of 11 being like, you know, and
What
then,
I
and then
do.
tying
You
into
can
that
see it.
flashback. What
Yes.
what did you do?
Yes, yeah. What did
And
you do?
you know, she's kind of questioning herself. And
Yeah. But I mean, and when she took off with that skate in her hand, I was like, ooh, because like this could go like
like this could end really
this could
bad.
go really bad. Actually, just a broken nose, it ended better than it could have gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was rough. And you see again, I think she immediately felt remorse for what
Yes.
she did. But I mean, good. It was a tough situation.
I think she was kind of, you know, and you hate to say understandably, but you kind of blinded by rage at that moment, and she gave into it, which she probably then wasn't proud of because that's not who she is.
Yeah. And I mean, but
thing.
maybe Angela wants to think twice before you make fun of her. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It might not end well. It might end with a broken. I mean, she might break something else.
Might end
Angela.
with a skate to the face. Who was it, Steve or somebody was like, I mean, it could have been an ice skate.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay.
Natalie's skipping it ahead of a different episode. Or no, well, Steve wasn't there.
Yeah, it might not have been Steve. It was
So
someone.
was it someone else that says that?
Yeah, I think so.
In
You'll
that
see.
episode?
You'll see.
In episode 2?
Maybe it's episode 3.
Natalie's watched the whole season. I've only seen 2 episodes here. But anyways, they're all blending in her mind, I think.
They do that. I have to be careful and kind of go back and remember, okay, what section are we?
So then you've got actually we should have started this the way this episode starts. This episode starts with Hopper and us seeing what.
But this is why you come here,
because we're that ADHD. So, but anyways, it starts with Hopper, and we see, of course, we all knew Hopper survives, but we see how he survives, and we see him in this Russian prison, which they refer to as hell. And basically,
and
like
it really seemed like it.
It seemed like it. It seemed really bad.
It seemed pretty bad.
It seemed
the Upside Down actually seems a little more hellish.
Yeah, but this
sure, but
this is a close second behind the Upside Down. This is it's bad. It's not good. And they are able to figure out. Of course, she calls Enzo, and her and Murray begin to use the tape recorder to listen back to that woman that comes in, and they begin to kind of piece some things together. And by the end of the episode, they piece together that maybe a guard he's a guard who could get Hopper out wherever
Yes.
Hopper is. So they know Hop's alive at this point. At least the 2 of them do. Maybe
it's like the only critique I guess I'm just thinking of right now, like Joyce. Maybe there would have been a little more of a reaction. I mean, she was excited.
She was. I get what you're saying,
but like almost like the emotional depth of it might have hit a little different.
Do you know? I feel like it. I totally get what you're saying, but I feel like they're playing it almost like Joyce is like.
But Joyce is Joyce.
Joyce is Joyce, but she's also kind of like a survival, and it's more like you don't have time to dwell on that. We've got to figure out how to get
on to the next thing.
We got to figure out how to solve this.
Yeah,
like how to help him at this point. I'd say hopefully there will be a good reunion, but right now I don't know. I guess Natalie knows. She's smiling over here. Hopefully there will be a good reunion. But I think she's just so determined to find him. It's probably why she didn't really show anything there.
That's true. Joyce is a doer.
But I mean, my gosh, Joyce is not by any means. I mean, Will's family has been the poorest, I guess, up until Max recently.
Yeah.
Of this group, and she's rushing to get $40,000 from somewhere. Like, so I mean, that shows you the love for Hopper.
Yeah.
I mean, when you don't have money. And you're willing to drop $40K.
I think it was something that was like set aside for 11. That's why she had that money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, they better get them back.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put it back.
But anyways, so that's kind of their story in this. And then you've got Max goes to Dustin at the beginning of this, and she reaches out to Dustin because she witnessed, of course, some of what happened with what's her name, Stacy, the cheerleader, Chrissy, and the new guy, Eddie. And she'd witnessed that, and of course, goes to Dustin, and they go to who else? You go to Steve, and you go to Robin. Because that's where you begin to solve things, is with Steve and Robin. So they go to the family video, and
good old family video,
and they are able to track down the guy that Eddie gets his drugs from.
Yes, to find a possible location for where Eddie could be.
Eddie, because Eddie's disappeared.
You know, and like they're breaking down, like, you know, it's reasonable, obviously, but like Steve at first, like, well, maybe he did it, but you know, they're kind of breaking down, like, no, he didn't do this, something's going on. So they go off on their, you know, their chase that we love on Stranger Things.
Well, and
they're hot on the story.
They are, and of course, this is the new group that's going to be getting to put together X amount of pieces of what's going on. Yeah, I really enjoyed things I liked. I really enjoyed, again, they're kind of adding more horror elements in this season, it seems, which I can enjoy quite a bit. When Max was telling Dustin what happened, even the way they did the flashbacks had a real horror feel to it. Like I mean, I enjoyed it, actually. And of course, just everything going on, and you could tell Max didn't really believe this guy had done it.
Right. Yeah. Like, just, I guess
she was beginning to piece together something's going on here.
And she said, you know, he looks scared. Like,
yes.
You know, not like I just killed a person, but like just genuinely freaked out.
Yeah. So they begin to figure that out. And of course, by the end of it, they find Eddie. And Eddie is horrified. And of course, he's like, you'll never believe me. And he found the one bunch.
Yeah, that actually would.
That's like, go ahead and tell us. You'd be surprised by what we'll believe here.
Right.
And of course, he tells them what's going on. And so you got that element. And then you've got Nancy and let's see, I believe his name is it Fred?
Yes.
The little reporter from the school. And they go out to Eddie's house as well. And Nancy's able to discuss things with his uncle. Was it his uncle?
His uncle, yeah.
And his uncle tells them about some past murderer, I believe.
Yeah, we hear about, this really creepy guy that from the 1950s, something that had happened in the town of Hawkins.
Oh, so Hawkins has been weird for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goes back.
Yeah. So Nancy that's all we get about that in this episode. So I'm interested to see where that goes. That thread is pulled and where that goes.
It will be pulled.
I'm sure it will, because they set it up clearly in this episode. But then you've got things going on with Fred, because when they pull in before she has that discussion, that officer talks and Fred begins to see.
That was creepy.
That was really creepy what Fred begins to see. And you see, oh gosh, he's like the cheerleader. Like
he has this thing that he holds, you know, that
like things are beginning to happen up there that he can't control. And then when he goes off into the woods and that clock is there and it's on top of like a coffin, wasn't it? It was on top. I think it was on top of a coffin.
Yeah.
It was like really creepy. And then you get those
Watch out if you see an old grandfather clock in the woods, you guys.
Just run.
Just go the other way.
But then you get like even kind of almost like, it was almost like Stranger Things version of like The Walking Dead. Yeah. That was kind of there. Right. Zombies kind of that were there. That was a really creepy scene.
That was really creepy.
And then I wonder,
Halloween, you know?
It was. And then I wonder, will we see, Natalie, of course, knows the answer because she's seen them all. Like, will we see more of like the flashbacks of something happened with the wreck that clearly really bothered Fred? I don't know if they'll ever show more of that or not. But that's his flashback where the girl got like her mom and dad. Well, Fred gets really like this crash situation.
We really kind of saw in season 2. I guess it's just there was a crash and he got up and left. Oh. And that kind of haunts him, that even though like really what would he have done? You know, it's one of those things as a young person.
Oh, you mean in episode 2, not season 2?
Yeah, episode 2. And he just like, because it's always like people, something bad that happened or something they have guilt about, you'll notice.
Yes.
And so he felt guilty, kind of like that lie that, oh, like he should have saved her or something, but it doesn't sound like he could have.
Gotcha.
Like there was a wreck on accident.
Yes. And so Fred then is running and he's in the middle of the street and that thing begins to happen and you see the big disgusting, like just when I say muscle, like there's no tissue, there's no flesh over his body.
Yeah.
You see that
he's
creature?
all muscle.
He's literally just all muscle.
He's mainly tendon.
And then the levitation, and then the bone breaking again, and you're like, oh, poor Fred. Poor Fred. Fred's gone.
Poor Fred.
Fred's a goner.
It's like the only thing that brings me a little comfort. Obviously, you know, you can't take these things
You're
too
like,
seriously.
that it's fast?
But it almost seems like they don't really feel it. Like like they're just like they're like in that state, and then it just happens. It's not like you hear them. I don't know. I like to tell myself that anyway.
Seems pretty brutal to me.
They feel the psychological terror.
It seems pretty brutal to me. And then you also have, so that's kind of the finale really of that episode. Well, I think actually it's maybe Hopper. Is it him or Hopper? I don't know. Forget one of the two. But then you also have, let's see, you've got Lucas, and Lucas got drunk for the first time and has a hangover and is throwing everything up because it's not smart to get drunk. That's what happens.
It's not worth it, guys.
You get sick. It's gross.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's sick. And then of course the cops are there and they're just nervous they're going to get in trouble because they've been drinking underage. But there's not
funny. He was like, yeah, we could arrest you for drinking. Should we?
But and it's kind of funny too to see those two cops be the lead cops now.
Yes,
because they were kind of
doofuses.
They were doofuses.
Yeah.
And now they're having to take the lead since Hop's gone. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But there's not really much from Lucas in this episode. He wasn't in it much. Of course, because they give more attention to Hopper and some other things going on.
You know, he's getting a little worried, I think, at that point for where this is going with the connection to the Hellfire Club.
Yes.
You know, because there's that big kind of and it is emotional where the boyfriend finds out, like the kind of captain of the basketball team type.
Yeah.
That his girlfriend
is no more.
It was unfortunate. We all saw what happened.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
Woo! But so he's putting that together and he's kind of like getting them on this crusade, like we're going to go after this freak. And, you know, so Lucas is putting two and two together that this might not fare well for some of his dear friends.
Yeah. And he's like, no, my sister plays at times. It's not that bad. But he's still
trying to kind of like hold on and like be in both, you know, so
Lucas,
you guys will see how that plays out.
You just have to embrace the fact that you're a nerd, man.
Yeah.
You just got to go full in.
But I do feel Lucas does have that swagger to be a cool kid.
He does.
You know, he is a cool kid.
He just has a little dirtiness in him.
Yeah.
And I think you find out in this episode, I believe.
Nerds are cool too.
Yes. At the very end of this episode with Dustin and with Eddie, I like how Stranger Things, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but they always like connect the monsters to like a character, like I guess a monster from Dungeons and Dragons. And at the very end, they reveal this new character that he'd put down at the game in the first episode. And that's going to be the villain.
Maybe they should stop playing.
Because every time you guys play this, something bad
really
happens. These games don't seem to be that.
I'm kidding. I don't think they make it like it's like, you know, one causes the other or anything.
No,
it's just that there is that kind of.
They always connect like the name of the monster to something from Dungeons and Dragons, and that's kind of the end of this episode. So now let's rake this episode. Anything I missed that you thought of?
I can't think of anything. Let us know in the comments if we missed something.
Something you guys liked or enjoyed. Definitely share below. So rating this episode, I'm gonna give it.
Can I go first? So I feel
okay, you go first.
I'm gonna give this one a 4.5.
Dang it! I was gonna give it a 4.5.
Why do we think so much alike?
I was debating giving it a 5, but then I was like, I feel like I could end up giving every episode
it was
5.
a really good second, episode of the season.
I'll give it a 4.5, just so I don't give everything a 5.
Yeah,
but it was a really good episode.
Trying to have a little bit of professionalism.
And by the end of this one, I feel like things are really rolling. Like I feel like the ball's really rolling at this point. Like there's a lot that's about to happen in episode 3 probably.
It's about to get wild.
Yeah, like dots are being connected. It's about to go down.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. But yeah, that is our, I guess, review, thoughts, discussion on Stranger Things, episode 2 or chapter 2 of season 3, which is titled.
Oh, you mean season 4?
Season 4,
and it is titled Vecna's Curse.
Vecna's Curse. What did you?
Vecna?
Yeah,
gotta watch him.
Yeah, what did you guys think of this episode? Share any thoughts, anything you want to discuss below. And if you have not yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up. And as always,
we'll be here all week.
We will. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right.